Okay, good evening, everyone. Today is our presentation session. We are so pleased and happy to have had Ifrad this semester. Very productive sessions. He talked about his domain, the job market, and very good information about the healthcare industry. So today, you guys present your work, and like each of you don't spend more than 10 minutes. Please finish by 10 minutes. And also, Ifrad would comment on your presentations. And maybe if you have a little bit of time, I give a little bit of some of the remaining lectures. So without further ado, I give the podium to Ifrad, and he might tell you something about today's presentation. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Professor. Happy to be back. This is my third, probably final time this semester that I'll be seeing all of you. I've had a lot of fun, coming in and talking to you a little bit. I've heard a lot from all of you, some really great questions and insights and feedback. But today, you will be doing most of the talking. I will not be doing most of the talking. But just to recap where we stand, right? The first time I came in September, we talked a little bit about what is healthcare and how is healthcare structured in the US. We talked about some foundational concepts as to who are the players in the healthcare industry. What are the different things that the government is looking out for? What are the different things that the private insurance industry is looking out for? In our second session, we actually dove a little bit deeper into that. We started talking very deeply about the concept of medical expenditures or medical costs. Who are the people who drive medical cost? Who are the people who care most about understanding what goes into medical costs? To that end, we actually shared some data that is from the Centers for Medicare and Medicaid Services, or CMS, that delves into medical costs and shows how the healthcare landscape and the cost structure differs by geographic region across the US. So that brings us to today, where really I'm looking for some insights from you based on all the work that you've done on those data sets. So the scenario that I gave you last time is that you are an intern at CMS. I'm hoping you all remember this, right? You were an intern at CMS, and as a final project during your internship, you're accountable for sharing with the CMS administrator some quick findings about your data analysis that you did on the geographic data across the US. Does anybody remember what the name of the CMS administrator is? I mentioned that last time.
That's Chiquita.
Correct. Shachi, and what's your name? Sinam, both correct. Chiquita Brooks Lashore. She's the new CMS administrator as of January of this year, I think. So good. Always good to know who you're presenting to. Okay, so I'm curious about a couple of things. How many of you worked? Maybe like show me a hand if you're on Zoom. How many of you worked by yourself? So maybe 3 or 4 people, maybe 4 or 5 people. How many of you worked in groups of 2? A couple people. How many of you worked in groups of 3 or more? All right, so I think from what it looks like, there's probably 5 pairs, 5 individuals, and maybe 2 or 3 groups of 3. So maybe all in all, we'll probably have maybe 12 or 13 presentations. As Chiquita, my time is really limited, right? So maybe we'll shoot for between 2 to 3 minutes per presentation. I know that I'm going to have a lot of questions, as well as Professor Hamid, on all of these presentations. Depending on how it goes, we may like wait until the end before commenting on all of them. But if there are any questions that spark up during the presentation, we might ask as well. So, are all of you who are in the classroom also on the Zoom call? I think that might be the best way to actually show the presentation, right?
Yeah, but I think you can be prior to the class.
Sure.
So maybe we can start from there, and then if we have extra time, we go to which hopefully we have. So we give and based on your choice, maybe they can present over something.
Yeah, that works for me. We can start with the folks who are in the classroom. But so how would you like them to present? Do you want them to bring it up on the Zoom or?
I think let's see. So do you guys already have laptops to bring them? Yeah, so if you have your own laptop, you can present yours. Otherwise, I can download from Moodle and you can present from that. So, yeah.
That sounds good. If that's easier, that's kind of what I had in mind, but that may or may not be easy. I don't know.
So it's all presentation over Zoom. We can just our Moodle, we can just download it. So we have like 3 questions. Me, when I'm supposed to present 1 minute short answer, can we go first? Okay, so let me go to assignment 10. The assignment is the Ifrad assignment. So let's see. Your submissions. Download our submission. Yeah, so all of the submissions are here, so you can choose who wants to present. So each time they come here, they can just click on it. So let me just extract to somewhere there. So please just pick. So from them, which one do you want to present first? So, yeah. I think Amarildo.
If you don't mind, if you're going to present from this computer, I'd love for you to share your screen on the Zoom call, just so like all the Zoom attendees can actually see your.
So on this laptop?
Yeah, on this
laptop. Yeah. So
I want everybody else to see everybody else's presentation, if that makes sense.
Oh my God. Happened. Amarildo. Yeah. So let me just share your screen. So each of you comes here, find your folder, then press share screen here, and just pick your presentation. Sorry.
What the hell? Oh, sorry. Should I just leave it like this? Because like if I do like. All right. So this was just something like image that I found like on the internet, just like not like my name is Amarildo, and this is my presentation. So the some of the overview of the database. So data set. So like data set is about the healthcare conditions that are collected through every state in the USA. They also like were like towns and like counties and stuff, but like I only focused on like the state more particularly because the counties and like the towns like they were huge. So one of the most important variables would be like the prevalence. So that's what I chose mine. So to be like the most important thing, and like it just means like a measure of the total number of people in a specific group who have had or who have or have had the a certain disease condition or risk factor. I would also like point out like some of the Bennett demo desks. So like these are some of the other variables, and like the age, the demographics, and like the location where I've taken all of these images from. So so these are the conditions. So on this table right here, I've put in like the average prevalence for every condition. So we can see like the conditions here, alcohol abuse and through stroke and cancer and all that conditions that are, and like average ER visits for Venice. So like that's for every person like that has been there, and like how these conditions and how would we measure up these conditions. On the other one, so this is I've taken the age and the average prevalence for certain diseases, and the blue ones are 65 and up, like the age group of 65 and up, and then the orange one are the 65 and below. So I didn't select all because that would just make this graph like a bit way different. So like for all, like it would just select all, and then I would only have like a column, and everything else would be like just below that. So that's why I only selected the two age groups. Here I have like the races for every group that we had like on the database, and also male and female. So I would just pointing out all the races and the average prevalence. So we would see like, all right, so which of these different type of races had like different, prevalence levels and all. So here is I've collected demographics. So like, you have again all the other races, but like this is like specific to a condition like that we have here. So like we have alcohol abuse, like we would see like the difference in prevalence in like every race, and like you would see arthritis and asthma, but like I only chose the ones with that begin with an A, like all the conditions that begin with an A, because like there was other conditions, but like this table would be like way bigger and it wouldn't show up in here. But like if we want to change it and just select all the conditions that start with a B, then we can just go back to like the filter, and then we can have like different conditions there, and we can see like the difference between the prevalence on like different conditions. Also, here is like what I chose from this graph right here is like I chose all the states, and then every condition that started with an A. So alcohol abuse, Alzheimer's, arthritis, asthma, and we would see like the average prevalence for like every condition. So like here you have like the yellow line, which means for like autism, and like you would have like the prevalence measurement, and like for everything. So like we would see like, all right, so where's the difference between every state? Okay, and also this one, it just shows that I've chosen like Massachusetts for all the different things. So like I was just focusing on the state of Massachusetts, because we're in Massachusetts, and we'll see like, all right, so which one is like the most a common, condition. And I can't read this. Hypertension would be like the most common one, because that has like the highest prevalence. But then you would see like all different things. But like if we did this for another state, these figures would be different. So like we can compare these two for like between states. And also that's for the drug abuse and the average prevalence. So like for age groups, so like we could see that for 65 and less, like for people that are 65 and younger, we would have a higher drug abuse. But like for 55 and up, like we would have like a lower drug abuse. Like this means that they're not using as much drugs. They're not abusing the drugs as much. So for conclusion, I've made this presentation for like, to get a better understanding of the health conditions that we have, and like as I said, like we can do like multiple changes from like the filters and all that. So like we can just select what kind of state we want, what kind of age group, like what kind of race. So like everything is in there, and like this can show us a better, understanding of like maybe like the age groups, not so much because we get it like the younger and 65 and younger, like they're gonna be like a lot of differences at 65 and up. But like we can, just consider this the age group to like find out like, all right, so what's the most common condition for like if you go for like age groups, so like what's 55 and up would have like as a common condition, so we can track that down, and then we can find a solution to this problem. And also that's like that would be like a different thing, like we would see like the races, so like let's say Asian and white, or like Asian and black, so like you would see like, all right, so what are some of the conditions that are more common on these race groups, and then we would just tackle it and like create something like create a let's say what do you say, a medicine to like help them through those conditions. Yeah, thank you. That's all. Okay, thank you. I think I saw like a few hand raised on the Zoom, so like maybe like, do you have any questions?
Actually, it's very good presentation, but just these doesn't mean that you did bad job. I just want to give some comments. So for your final project, first of all, instead of a story one, put something that makes sense. Second, you have so many words. It should be very limited. You shouldn't have like one paragraph, maybe just one, at most one line. Okay. Work on and even here is incomplete. Maybe you can give an angle if you want to show it completely, or just minimizing the way that people, when they read, they shouldn't think further. Also, dots here. Yeah, you should fix that. This is, I think, the best one you had. So at least you can see the arthritis is the most significant problem. So this is the most important. But also, maybe here you put the, don't put the jargon or just a short and just a complete name, so people can understand. So, if some people may look at it and say this is a wrong figure, you have Asian Pacific next to female Hispanic male. They are not in the same dimension, but you put all of them next to each other. I think, it could make sense, but maybe maybe you can make like one just based on gender, another one based on ethnicity. That's better. Incomplete information, incomplete. And this is like, you should put at most one or two lines, not just a paragraph. But other than a really good job, I think you can improve for your final presentation. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
No more questions?
I have a couple comments
on the okay. All right, thank you.
So who wants to be next in the class?
Okay, you can come next. I think I saw some hands, so let's see if so Chaitra and Yash, you can come here. I think you had the questions, right?
Professor, can I present?
No, Professor, I do not have any question.
Okay, so your presentation should be after people are in the class. So after they're done, it would be your turn. So yeah, you can come here.
Very quickly, not for about 2 minutes.
All
what my work is here.
So you did Power BI?
Yes, I did Power BI. First, I just use the per capita word file. The word file contains the year from 2014 to 2019. Oh. And here you can see my 5 graphs. This was downloaded by the official websites. Wait. Okay, I download 5 graphs from the website, contains each year's information, and I just merge them into the all countries with the same columns. That's the final graph. So I just show about the visualization to comment some data. First, I just have a research on the per capita and stage rental disease and the person's years. And here show the pre-rate of the per capita is the first 5: Texas, Georgia, Virginia, Kansas, and Kentucky. A person's years to bias descending is also. So here, because you can use the slicer if you want to check some special region, then just click here, and can show the data from it. For example, you can find the Colorado information, then click here and find all this information from this. They will show all the information from there. And we also per capita expenditure HND by year from the 5 years division. We can see from 2015 to 2019, the capital HND is increased. You can see from 32.63 million to, you can see from 28.63 million to 32.63 million, so have a decrease. And also, if you want to find some different region about the risk score and HND score, just use the slicer to point here or here. Okay. Why not work? Little strange. So I just showed the differences between different years. You can see they are all the American region here, and we just secondary divided by the year, and we can find that among this year's the largest average person years is also in the Massachusetts, right? Yeah. And we can, if we want to show the other data to compare this data, just use the slicer to click here and here. And you want to find a special year first. For example, I want to choose the 2015. Just also click the year that show the information. That's all.
So can you give example from Eugene and so I just know from what I understood from your presentation, you know Power BI very well, and also Amarinda knows Tableau very well. But the point is not showing off that you know the program. So the point is you need to find the problems.
Find the problems and tell the entire story.
Yeah, tell the story. For example, for Ifrad, he didn't say, I know Python, I know R, or I know. He showed the problem, the issues. This is the goal. So for your final presentation, don't try to show off that you know Power BI. So I understand that you know Power BI very well, but you should focus on the issues, challenges, and
find the issue.
And maybe you have some suggestions.
Okay.
Okay. Who's next? Who wants to have okay?
Self-professor.
Okay. Yeah, no. You know Power BI very well. I understand you know well, but the only thing, the point is you should find the issues What can you suggest to improve those things if you have any suggestion? Okay, you are next. So you haven't submitted? If you submitted, so my point is, so it is here you are not comfortable using this?
We just made a small tweak.
Okay, so okay.
Want to add.
So let me do a sub share.
I'll share my screen, Professor.
So multiple people can share. So Sashi Kumar is your team?
Yes.
So Sashi, could you share your screen?
Yeah, Professor.
Yes, so let's see if you can see it.
So just to give an intro, our data set is to do with the county level aggregate expenditure and risk score is what we are working on. So Shachi will start with the first finding and then.
Hi everyone, my name is Shachi. So with this data set, we tried to figure out the budget that was allocated to each state and counties for various sorry, yeah. The average risk score indicates that the sickness level of the population, that is the sicker you are. So if you look at this data, so this is all the counties and states available. So the lesser the average risk, the lesser the value, the healthier the people are. And if the value is above 1.1, the sicker the people are. So we have actually tried to show top 10 states that are at most risk, which includes Texas, Kansas, Missouri, and North Carolina. Similarly, yeah, and based on this, we are trying to figure out what budget should be allocated to which state for treatment.
If you see over here, you see yeah, Shachi, can you go to the previous story once? Yeah, if you can go look at the average risk score. Can you zoom into that, please? For the top 10 states, the second one, yeah. No, the first one, yeah. And yeah, if you could zoom in once. Tennessee, while Texas has the highest population, it has a relatively healthier score. When you look at it, 0.98. Missouri too has almost 1/3 the population, and that also has a high score. But Tennessee, having less than half, I mean, like almost 1/3 the population, it's a much more sicker county because the score is much higher over here. So when we look at this, we can any stakeholder can actually make the decision based on this. We can see the health level. In fact, we put a color filter here, so you see the darker, so they are much more sicker than the other counties. Kansas is probably more healthier, and here Tennessee, you can see it's darker, so you know that it's a more sicker county. Can we go to the next slide? Here, what we've done is looking at the per capita expenditure. Basically, the per capita expenditure talks about how much the state is spending per person. And when you look at the first one, we see that you see Jefferson, Lincoln, Washington is the highest. But as was mentioned in the previous class, we need to actually normalize for the risk score, because by just looking at the per capita expenditure, we can't clearly decide anything over there. So when we actually put this new filter of normalizing, the counties actually change. You see that Kennedy has a much higher per capita expenditure, whereas over there, when we look at Washington, it was different. So we're trying to put the filter of normalizing the risk score by dividing the average risk score by the per capita expenditure. And yeah, here too, we've actually shown a side-by-side comparison. Shachi can explain.
Yeah. So here we have explained a risk normalized per person budget that was allocated for top 10 counties. So if we look here, these are the top 10 counties and they have been allocated with this budget for one person. And this is the average risk score for top 10 counties. So if you look here, this is 1.4, which means that people from this county are more sick and they have been allocated this budget. And we have also looked at the population that is present in this particular county. So this one has 129.5. And if you look at this one has 182. So it also depends on the number of population of present in a particular county, because if the population is too less and the risk is high, it is not that relevant as compared to a county that has more population and the risk is also high. So for example, this one has only 21.42. Average population is 21.42, but this one has 129 and the risk is also very high. So this county is at more risk.
Yeah, finally, we are looking at this figure here. So here we have actually done a comparison of population and the risk score. So you can actually see that states with the highest average risk score indicates a level of sickness in the population. So the sicker you are, the higher the score. So in the state-wise risk score and average risk score of top 5 states, we operate. Basically, what we're trying to do is, if you look at here, you see the risk score and you compare it with the per capita expenditure. So we are trying to actually compare the two. So how much per capita expenditure happened and what is the risk score accordingly. So here the expenditure is less, here the risk score is high. So we probably guess that the population is much lesser over here. So overall, I mean, we're talking a lot about risk score and per capita expenditure, but the idea is that for any stakeholder to take any particular decision, if you want to, allocate Medicaid, or for insurance companies to identify where to, plan their insurance policies, you have to identify which places has the highest risk. Otherwise, as an insurance company, I might face a loss. And for counties that are actually planning on Medicaid, they need to identify which locations have the highest, in terms of which is the sickest population, and based on that, they can plan the Medicaid. So that's what we've tried to do over here through our database. Yeah.
Thank you.
What's your name? Sinu.
How do you spell
SINU.
that? SINU?
Yeah, Sinu. Yeah.
Okay, cool. At least you guys focus on some of the issues. Maybe I wish to invest more, but that's really good presentation. So it's supposed to, you're supposed to present the first one in the US healthcare. Still, you need to be more simplistic in your figures.
Right.
Because she doesn't have time to read, she wants to see the issue with the minimum possible information. But other than that, good job. Thank you. Who's next? Nobody in the class? You want to present? You are together? Okay, you can come. Is it same as what you submitted?
Yeah, I have the PowerPoint slide on the Google slide.
So I have Apple Serif folder. So is it the same one, or you want to change it?
Yeah, I want to share the Google slide because I'm in the Google slide.
Oh yeah, sure. But I think it's my account.
Yeah,
I think it's the same way password. So So do you have a SharePoint here?
Oh, yeah, here it is.
So now press 21. 29.
Wait.
So you can press OK. So that would be okay.
Oh.
Also share over Zoom so your friend could see. Go ahead.
So our presentation will not be very long. So first, let's introduce the data. The data set we're using is the country level aggregate expenditure and risk score data on assignable beneficiaries in 2020. And here are the variables: the year, state name, state ID, country ID, per capita, average risk, and person year. And here's the data visualization part. We do three tree maps for per capita, average risk, and person years, and we found that there is slightly connections between correlations between the per capita and the average risk. Seems like the Texas, so the highest of the per capita expenditure is Texas, and also the highest average risk of health is Texas too, and also the Georgia, Virginia here. But we cannot find any relationship between the person year and these other two tree maps. And here's also a map for the average risk. Seems like there's no relationship between the geographic factors with the average average risk score. And here is the bar chart for the per capita and average risk. It seems like if the per capita is if the per capita expenditure is very high, the average risk will be also very high. At the same time, if it's low, and the other one is also be very low. And here's the conclusion part.
So, as you all know that they do not have the person who we are presenting doesn't have much of a time, so we have made it as simple as possible. So instead of looking a broad view, we have just focused on particular segments. Like in the conclusion, you can see that the data in Texas looks a bit strange. It's like you can conclude that it's an outlier. There is somewhat correlationship. There is only a somewhat correlationship out of understanding that between the per capita expenditure and the average risk. And what we conclude from that is that the government might need to allocate more budget based on the graphs on the selected areas. Then the third part is the government might need to spend, like the overall conclusion is that the government might need to spend more on children's healthcare, insurance, and veterans medical care. So this is the complete outcome of the presentation. Since we know that they do not have much time, we're going to perhaps we have just focused exactly on a particular.
Yeah, you hit that point. So minimizing the time and finding the issues in the slide. Yeah, I like that. Maybe this figure. Okay. So go here. Yeah, maybe here it's like too complicated. Maybe you can work on this figure.
Yeah,
but
sure.
Other than that, good presentation. Thank you. So other people in the class wants to present? I think you are the only one, right? Do you want to present? Okay, fine. Thank you. You just sign out. Yeah, I think so. You can just close the browser. Cool.
I think everything is already signed up.
Thank you. So you can find your phone also. Thank you. So, I think it was, yeah.
Hi guys, good evening. So I was analyzing the per capita data set and I focusing on a very small problem, the risk score of those who were not enrolled in the Medicaid program to compare for those who have enrolled in the Medicaid program in Massachusetts.
How do you say your name?
Tingley, yeah.
And could you please say your name?
My name? Muchacho.
So one more time?
Muchacho.
Muchacho.
Yeah.
Can you say your name?
My name is.
Oh my goodness.
Oh, my problem was old.
So
do you have your laptop?
Yeah, my laptop.
Yeah, please share. I give you permission so you can share from your screen.
Should we do a Zoom presentation while it's on the side?
Yeah. So let me. Let me close it. So stop share. I think now you can share. So you can share. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. So it's a.
Can minimize this one.
It's only a one-page dashboard, and so I'm going to compare this to risk score among the different age but not enrolled in the program for those who enroll in the Medicaid program. And I need to define that first. The risk score that over one, less than one shows a better, healthy situation of the overall the health problem of the residents. So on the left side, we can see that for those who were not enrolled in the Medicaid program, the average risk score is higher than those who were enrolled in the Medicaid program. So, and specifically, we take example from Stratford, the Boston area, where the enrollment rate is highest. For those living in Suffolk and not enrolled in the Medicaid program, the rate is about 1.05. But for those who enroll in Medicaid program, but living in Suffolk, the rate dropped to 0.95. That's a huge difference, right? And however, the real, so we need to, we could conclude that it's better to have more people enroll in the program. But however, the situation in Massachusetts is that most counties have the rate of enrollment about lower than 12%. is not that good. So I would suggest Chiquita to encouraging people to enroll in the program to improve the welfare of Massachusetts. That's my presentation.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, I like your presentation.
Thank you. So
you can stop
so I need to
just stop share.
stop share.
Yeah, cool.
Thank you.
So
Professor, you're on mute. We can't hear you.
sorry. So sorry, I was muted. So I'm looking at the message on the chat box. I think Sahan is first, maybe Aditi second, and Yash is third one. So just put the comment in the text box so I can consider it as your order. So Sam, do you want to present?
Professor, my group mate Tia wants to present our presentation.
Okay, Tia. So Tia, you can share your screen and start presenting.
Okay, great. Let me just pull it up. Okay. Everyone can see this in class?
Yeah. Yes.
Okay. 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 Hi, everyone. So I'm Thea, and my group mate and I, Sahand, work together to create these data visualizations based on the per capita data set. So we'll walk you through 3 of the visualizations that we created and then our dashboard at the end. So this map, similar to one of the groups that presented earlier, shows the average risk score per capita. So you can see that the states that have a darker color are associated with a higher risk score. So if everyone remembers, 1 is equal to a healthy population, lower than 1 is really healthy. And then, 1 is average, lower than 1 is really healthy, and then higher than 1 is really sick. So we can see states like Florida are really sick, they're dark red. And then some of the states over here, like California, actually have a pretty good average risk score and they're healthier. You can see that some of the numbers are standing out, and we'll get into that later in the presentation. The next, I just realized I was on the dashboard. This was supposed to be the first one, but it's pretty similar. The next chart that we have is a box plot that shows the per capita expenditure and the different states and where they fall under that. So as the other group mentioned, Texas, for some reason, is an outlier, and the per capita expenditure is much higher than average. And you can see that some of the states on the top have a higher expenditure. This is another data visualization that demonstrates the per capita expenditure. So similar to the box plot, just a different visualization. And the circles that are bigger have a higher expenditure. So again, Texas has a really high expenditure, Kentucky, Kansas, Tennessee, Virginia. And then if we go back to this dashboard, or one of them, we can see again these numbers that are highlighted here. And so these are correlated to the top 10 states that have the highest per capita expenditure. So Texas is one of them, Kansas, Nebraska, and then all the other states that are outlined here have the highest expenditure. And our main thing was trying to see if states that have the highest per capita expenditure are correlated to the highest risk scores. So you can in fact see that the states that are the unhealthiest or have the higher risk scores are the ones that actually have a very high expenditure as well. But that isn't the case for every single state. So for example, Florida has actually a higher risk score than Texas, but doesn't have as high of a per capita expenditure. And so we can then draw conclusions about why this is. So as one of the groups mentioned earlier, Texas actually has the second largest population in the US. So this can be contributing to their overall high expenditure. And then just in conclusion, it really depends who you're presenting this data to, but if the CMS were to have an interest in lowering the per capita expenditure cost, they could look at these states and see where they're spending the most money and why that is. So they could also do something like implement social programs that would lower the risk score, aka make people healthier. and then in hopes to lower the per capita expenditure, since it does seem that those two are correlated to one another. So our biggest takeaway and our biggest recommendation is that if there is an interest to lower the per capita expenditure, there should be social programs or other incentives taken to lower the average risk scores or make people healthier, to lower cost and spending on Medicare and Medicaid. And I think that was everything for our presentation that we had tonight.
Okay, thank you very much. And also I'm glad that, Amarildo is, and your earliest friend, you're the Abbas Sarin, you're the bravest one, because people use the comments that I give it to you. But no worries. I mean, you have the final presentation, can improve. So IDT is the next one in the row. Do you want to present now?
Yes, Professor.
Okay, so so you can share your screen and just start presenting.
Can you let me know if you can see my screen?
Yes, we can.
Okay. Well, good evening to Ms. Chiquita and everybody else present here today. My name is Aditi and my partner's name is Chetra, and we are interns at CMS. We're going to be talking about chronic disease prevalence in the United States today. So in this presentation, our main aim is to create some factors and identify some factors based on which CMS can improve their medical insurance schemes, in turn improving their profits, but at the same time helping the people of the United States in buying insurance and being able to afford insurance and things like that. So first, we just wanted to see which states had really high prevalence rates of these diseases and which ones had lowest ones. Upon having a geographical graph like this, we realized that Florida has the highest prevalence of all diseases, whereas Virgin Islands has the lowest prevalence of all diseases. We then plotted the number of ER visits for each disease, and we noticed that drug and substance abuse as well as alcohol abuse ranked the highest in the number of ER visits per 1,000 people that had Medicare. So we wanted to dive a little deeper into substance abuse and how it's affecting the people. We plotted this against the age of the people, and we noticed that most people who are below the age of 65 are suffering from drug and substance and alcohol abuse, which means that it's usually in people that are below retirement and younger generations. Chetra can carry on with the next one.
Thank you, Aditi. So as we can see here, we see that in the first graph, we saw that the drug abuse or the substance abuse have the most prevalence when compared to the other diseases. And here in this graph, we see that the maximum payments made by Medicare were for heart failures and stroke when compared to the drug abuse and the substance abuses. But since we have seen that the ER visits are maximum when it comes to drug abuse and substance abuses, so we have a small recommendation with regard to this. So all in all, we have two recommendations to make. One would be we have already seen that any heart issues is always prevalence, and that any insurance made or any insurance plan for heart diseases will definitely help and improve the company to make profits. The second is we see that the younger generations, and also there might be people who cannot afford to buy a proper medical insurance, are the ones who struggle from who have issues with drug and substance abuse. So if Medicare can come up with any insurance which are more affordable and can be brought by these people, and also kind of advertise having these medical insurances, will definitely help people suffering from drug and substance abuses. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Good presentation. So let me see the chat box. After IDT is Yash. Yash, do you want to present?
Yes, Professor.
Yeah, you can share your screen and start presenting.
Yeah. So,
yeah, we can see you.
Can you see my screen? Yeah, okay. So yeah, hi everyone. I'm gonna talk about the 5 problems, 5 questions. I'm gonna answer 5 questions. First, so I worked with the healthcare data set. So yeah, coming to the first problem. The actual pay total medical total medical per capita spending of each state can be seen over here. It can be seen from the heat map that the one which is fully green is the most having the most highest total per capita per capita spending. So it can be seen that California has stands in the first, and it can also be seen from the graph that few states have like very less per capita spending of for the Medicare. And coming to the second chart, the second chart is about the emergency visits per thousand beneficiaries based on the chronic disease. So it can be seen from the graph that the drug or substance abuse has like highest number of emergency visits, and the hyperlipidemia has the least compared to other chronic disease. So based on this data, according to a particular state, the health sector or the medical care can take more precautions about these particular situations in a particular emergency kind of situation. And coming to the third, this is about the hospital readmission rate. So here also the one which is green has the highest hospital readmission rate according to the chronic disease. So it can be seen that hepatitis has the chronic viral B and C has the highest hospital readmission rate. So and the Austin spectrum has the least hospital readmission rate. So this data can be used for any medical care so that they can improve the health of particular country or of particular state based on the readmission rate. So they can try to work on reducing the readmission rate. And my fourth graph, it's about so it's about the prevalence rate according to the chronic disease type. So so the same thing, the hypertension has the highest prevalence rate with a sum of 5,704, and coming to the least, it is autistic spectrum disorder, which has the least prevalence. So this data can also be used by the medical or any agency to improve the standard of living of the beneficiaries by reducing this particular impact of these particular diseases on the beneficiaries. So the last graph is about the prevalence of the demographic, like on the beneficiaries demographic level and the demographic description. So it can be seen that the win with all has the highest prevalence rate of account with 26,714, and the least one is with 429 per the under the race category of Hispanic race. Yeah, that's it for my presentation.
Okay, thank you. So what I like from your presentation, your color choice is better. You chose a wider range of color from like either yellow or red to green, so you can differentiate information better. So IDT is this one. Okay, so Yutong Chen, do you want to present?
Yeah.
Okay, so go ahead.
Share my screen. Yeah. Hey guys, thanks for your time. And today I brought my health expenditure organizations. So in this segment, we can see that from the data set, First of all, we know that the risk cost equals to the expenditure divided by the risk score. So the blue line is the risk cost and the green graph is the per capita expenditure. And through the data set, we can find the per capita expenditure and is usually lower than the risk cost. So it means we pay more. We pay more than the expenditure and on the healthcare. So then I calculate the difference between expenditure and the risk. The interleaving points and gaps are extremely obvious at this point, and this point. Yeah. The higher the risk coefficient, the lower the risk expenditure is, and vice versa. So what can we do with this is to find out the different provinces or towns through the data by analyzing the geographical factors, medical level, economic development, and so on. We can find possible answers and a way to serve the public. So that's for listening. I'd be appreciated if you are interested. Yeah.
Yeah, Yutong, thank you very much. Really interesting PowerPoint. I want to learn how you did that. But yeah, I think if you reduce the text in your presentation, it's better. But other than that, good presentation. Thank you. So after Yutong, Amina, do you want to present?
Yes.
Okay, please go ahead.
Okay. I'll share my screen. Hi, everyone. My name is Amina, and I'm presenting on behalf of my team, Louise and I. So we look specifically at the chronic condition data set, and we narrow it down to the state of California, which is the third largest state in the United States. And we further narrow it down to look at just the population 65 and above. And the data we're using was from the Center of Medicare Services. So we use Tableau to run our figures, and we realized that the highest chronic disease in the state of California is hypertension. I mean, it's what is it? Yeah, hypertension, which has the prevalence rate of 5.804, followed by I can't pronounce the word. Hypedemia, I think. So these are the two largest chronic disease in the state of California among the older population. And furthermore, we also looked at the prevalence rate. We compared the minimum prevalence rate between the various demographic. And we realized that the Native American population has a very low prevalence rate as compared to all the other categories, the Hispanic, male, female. So in addition to that, we compared the prevalence rate among the demographic, and we realized that majority of the population rely on Medicare and Medicaid for their health services. So in conclusion, we would like to recommend to Ms. Chiquita to put measures and programs in place to target the top chronic disease in the state of California, which was the hypertension and the hypothermia. And also, since the majority of the population rely on Medicare, maybe more funding should go into those resources to help, to help with the medical need of this population. And also possibly she may need to maybe research the Native American population to realize why they have a very low prevalence rate as compared to the other demographic as seen in the slide here. They have a very low as compared to the rest of the population. So in total, that's our presentation.
Okay, thank you very much. Good presentation. So, okay, Arjun, it's your turn. Do you want to present?
Yes, Professor.
Yeah, okay, share your screen and go ahead, please.
Hello, everyone. Hello, Ifrad. My name is Arjun Ramba, and I'm going to present presentation on showing the chronic condition in Massachusetts among the age that is above 65. So my main aim of this presentation is to provide analysis of the study of chronic condition in Massachusetts. So let's see this packed bubble chart. Here it shows a cluster of chronic conditions such as diabetes, cancer, hypertension, and arthritis found among people whose age is greater than 65 of Massachusetts. The size of circle represents the level of prevalence of this disease. Here, hypertension is about 60.06%. Hyperlipidemia, which refers to the condition of having high cholesterol in the blood, is the condition that has the second highest prevalence among senior population in Massachusetts. This shows that more than 50% of senior population have suffered from heart-related conditions in 2018 in Massachusetts. Now let's see the hypertension prevalence in Massachusetts. In Mass County among senior population, Bristol County had the highest prevalence with 68%. The second highest hypertension prevalence is in Hampton County with about 63%. It seems these counties have largest population in Massachusetts who have suffered from heart-related conditions. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. I like your presentation. So now is Xianji Fan. Do you want?
Yes, please.
Okay, share your screen and go ahead.
Okay. Good evening, everybody. I represent for my team include Yuhan Wang and I to print this assignment. And we pay attention to the value of risk normalized per capita cost in the CSV. And we divided the average risk score by the per capita expense to realize this per capita cost. And we get the risk normalized per capita cost, then we start from the highest to the lowest. And we selected the top 100. And we automatically display the top 100 in this map. And it observes that the central region accounts for a larger and denser proportion of the top 100s, especially the Kansas, like the green one, and the Nebraska, the red one. And the purchase rate in these two
states just a little more. Just go back.
What?
Go back. What does each circle means? So what you said top 100 states. First of all, we have 50 states, but and these are counties or states?
They're state.
So do we have top 100 states in the United States?
No, we just find the 100. Which
so these are, okay, so there's
more.
a problem, this figure, so you should fix it later. And also, this is you are presenting the class, it's better to use the English map, not Chinese. But definitely you need to fix this figure. So talk to me later after the class.
Okay.
Go to the next figure.
Okay. I'll change that into the American. Sorry for that.
No, that's fine.
Okay.
Yeah, I think your friend found these are counties, not the states. Okay, go ahead.
Okay. And the purchase rate in these two states is very high, and we believe that the preferential policies can be used to consolidate these customers. And in Mississippi and America, some of the two states can provide more choices or increase advertising efforts to attack them. And both they can increase the investment in the medical care to support their healthy level.
Yeah, I think for both figures, you need to again investigate more, because I think also the next figure was counties, not countries.
Okay.
Reach me later on. I give you some comments. So, okay. I think the last one is Mingji, right? Do you want to present?
Yes, Professor.
Okay, please share your screen.
Could you see my screen?
Yes, go ahead, please.
Yeah, my project is present to the New York State government medical insurance. So the purpose of the project is show that New York State government's medical insurance should invest and support more in what kind of chronic disease and in which county and in which population to ensure the health of people in the New York State. Before I doing the visualization, I was using the Excel to sort the county only at the New York State. And after doing that, and we can see and the figure. Oh, sorry that. We can see the figure cancer have more prevalent than the alcohol abuse. On the second figure, we can note that in the New York State, the total expenditure per capita, which is the total Medicare payment PC for cancer medical insurance standard is also higher than the alcohol abuse. From above to analyze, we can know the government medical insurance in the New York State should pay more attention to cancer fund investment and the cancer insurance coverage. And also in these two figures, according to compare above these two figures, it can found that prevalence of cancer is higher among at the 65 age is at here, and the population. But the total medical insurance expenditure per capita is lower than the population less than the 55 is which at here. This shows the government medical insurance should pay more attention to the 65 plus age group and ensure the 65 plus population can have better cancer medical protection. And here is show the this county of in the New York State of the public and the total payment medical PC. From the first picture above, we can see the cancer prevalence is the highest in the Cattaraugus County, which as here, but the highest total per capita medical insurance expense is in the Bronx County, which at here with a total number of the 106,135 expenditures. Connecticut has only 54,358 expenditure. Therefore, New York's medical insurance should give Connecticut County more support for cancer, provide more cancer insurance fund in the Connecticut County. So in the summary, the New York State government insurance will should provide more financial support for the chronic disease of cancer and provide more financial support and the coverage for the 85 plus age group and on the cancer population. And at the same time, more financial support should be provided to the Cattaraugus County. That's it. Thank you.
Okay, Lindsay, go back.
Here?
Yeah. Use different wider range of colors, maybe from yellow to or maybe blue to red. Reduce number of text. Change the map to English. Also go back. So you have too many texts in each figure. So here, having like sheet 2, sheet 3 doesn't look cute. Just exclude those sheet 2, sheet 3, or just put a better name. That's it. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, I think you're the last one. Thank you very much. I think you got some feedback for your final presentation, but we also hear Ifrad's overall feedback from all of your presentations.
I'll keep it short. I learned a lot today. I think it was really insightful. I think it was truly insightful. I know some things about healthcare costs and disease prevalence in the country, but actually some of these visuals tell a really interesting story. I think across the board, like some general comments. Your skills, I think, were on full display, right? I think everyone here demonstrated that you have some really cool capabilities in Tableau, Power BI, and other tools. where you were able to kind of take this data set that I gave you and produce like really, really neat visuals. I think many of you fell victim to some really foundational calculation errors. I think some of them Professor Hamid pointed out. It's a reminder that when you're really working with a fancy tool, trying to create like a really nice picture, you can't get your fundamentals wrong. One really common error that I saw is calculation of the average cost. So what you tried to do, many of you tried to take county level data and aggregate that data into state level, which is fine. That's a noble effort. But you got to remember, say you have a state that has 5 counties, and the average cost in each of those counties is somewhere between $10,000 and $11,000. What is the average cost in that state? Yeah, you have to do some division. You have to do some weighting to come up with the correct answer is not $50,000, right? If you have 5 counties in one state and each county has an average cost of $10,000, the average cost in that state is not $50,000. Also, depending on, this is a reality in the US, like there's millions, well, not millions, there's thousands of counties, right? Even in a single state, there may be more than 100 counties. But some counties have 100,000 people, some counties have 20 people, right? So depending on the population size of the county, you got to weight that accurately in order to figure out what the average cost in the state is. So unfortunately, while your visual skills are really on display, you've got to get your calculations right. One of the things I really encourage my team in Optum to do is anytime you're really, really deep in the middle of a data or middle of a project, middle of the visualization, just take a breath, take a step back. Take a step back, look at the data from far away, and just ask yourself, does it make intuitive sense? Right? Like, am I doing everything correctly? Does it make sense? Now, so that's kind of a lesson for everybody to kind of really think about your foundations. I think one of the things many of you did really well is you cracked the nut of how to take a massive data set that you can spend days in and condense it into a really meaningful 1-minute presentation. I think many of you did that really, really well. I was very impressed by that. Particularly, I think Aditi and Chaitreya probably had the most well-prepared presentations, but I would also call out Tingley and Arjun. I think you both had very interesting strategies where you saw the problem, right, and you hyper-focused on a very, very specific, data point to make sure that you could actually accomplish what you needed to accomplish in a very short period of time. So obviously I could say some things, good and bad about everybody's presentation. I don't have time for that. But overall, I think this was really, really impressive. You really put your skills to the test and actually use some real healthcare industry data to provide and deliver some real insights, which you should all feel good about. The last thing I'll say, since this is my final time here this semester, right, just to connect the dots with what some of the things I talked about last time with career and the interview process and recruitment and everything, remember that when the question comes up about what your experience is, many of you may not have a lot to pull from because some of you will have internships and other jobs, some of you won't, that's okay. But you can reference this particular project that you work on and this whole engagement that we had together, because this is real experience, right? Doing or creating a visual using CMS data, it doesn't get any more real than that, right? So hopefully, even if, irrespective of how much you enjoyed this project or not, hopefully you can kind of use this as a thread of experience that you can talk about during an interview and thus set yourself apart from others. I did share some available positions with you last time. I sent one specific one here in Worcester to Kelly Coaches recently. And said Reliant Medical Group, we talked about that a little bit. So again, there's a lot of job opportunities in this area available in Worcester and beyond. So please consider applying, and hopefully this whole experience will give you the edge to get to the next step of the recruitment process. Any final questions, comments for me? All right. Well, great job, everybody. Hope you feel good about where you are and what you've done. All right. Thank you very much for letting me come and do this whole thing.
Thank you very much. Yeah, thank you. Yeah, we had very fortunate this semester to have Ifrad. So you learn about some industry level data visualization. What's the goal? How to prepare yourself, and also you got some feedback for today. Hopefully, even you can incorporate them for your final project and understand how to basically present your final project too. Thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you.
It was our pleasure to have you.
Thank you.
Sure.
In my job. So the first presentation.
Visual presentation of I am standing and
oh, I got you. Yeah, so all of those visuals, none of those visuals actually was my work. They were all basically taken from consulting projects and literature that we have to study on a daily basis in order to learn more about the industry. I took snippets of that and put it into a slide deck to help all of you understand, some of the current situations in healthcare. My guess is that a lot of that is based on very unconventional design tools, including including graphic design tools that have nothing to do with statistics, right? Because the reality is with a lot of consulting firms, when they're trying to make really compelling presentations, they use a combination of R and Python and Tableau, as well as just, very talented graphic designers to come up with really, really good visuals. Good question. All right, take care, everybody. Thank you. Thank you very much. Take care. Hopefully, we'll be in touch. Yeah, sure. We'll be in touch. We'll talk at some point this winter about next semester and what's to come.
Yeah.
I'm around. I'm not going anywhere.
If you can have time for it.
I'm not going anywhere. So it depends. Are you teaching this class again next class?
Yes, I do. So let's see, hang out sometime in the break if you are available, maybe.
Yeah, that sounds good.
Actually see each other with a mask somehow.
That's true.
So how to search the company?
The company or me?
Yeah. Yes.
Me or the company? Are you trying to search for
your company? Yeah.
The company's name is Optum. OPTUM. Yeah, there you go.
Optum.
Yeah. Yeah, that's it.
Yes.
Yeah, there's only one Optum.
Okay. Thanks.
Yeah, you're welcome. All right, take care. Yeah, you can find me on LinkedIn too. If anyone wants to. All right, take care.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, sure.
I've been trying to create this predictive model from my data set, which has actually multiple data sets, which I use several joiners. So when I'm putting it in the regression learner, I'm able to run it, but it's not getting into the predictor. I'm not able to execute it. I'm sorry. Are we done with it?
Yes.
All right.
Yeah.
Cool. Have a good night.
Thanks.
我的意思是 PPT 我就先建起来，之前会让你把你加入它，然后通过 PPT 我让它开始做什么？对，它整个就是要整个他知道的，他之前。
So can you use the model? What is the data? Just give us this one. Yeah. So look, your regression predictor has two inputs. One comes from your model, right?
Yeah. So how do I add that in?
Send me this workflow.
Sure. Yeah.
I need also check other part because I see a warning in your. It's not such a screen. So yeah, I also let me check this
So
warning.
one struggle that we are facing is that when I'm compiling a lot of journals, there was some issue that was happening. So I tried to do a unique correlation, and then when I tried to include all the variables, I was getting saturated. So this journal was not there. And then I removed certain specific variables, like ID and the product model with all of that.
So one
Then it
could,
started
yeah, one could be like some of your columns are not in the numerical format. So maybe you need to change the format of your columns.
Okay.
But the correlations, all of them are over numerical columns. So if one of the columns could be look like numeric, but when you check the settings, it's not numeric. Maybe you need to change the type.
Okay, so for correlation, all my
Excuse me, Professor. So I'm asking one of your friends' question. I'm trying to find name.
Excuse me, Professor.
Yes, you are the second in the row. I'm answering your friend's question. Just give me 1 minute.
Okay.
Okay.